Good morning, grade sixes, and welcome to WorksheetCloud. For those of you who are just joining us for the first time, welcome. I look forward to teaching you your lessons for the rest of this lockdown. For those of you that have been with us before, welcome back. Please remember, if you have any questions, to send your questions to grade6@worksheetcloud.com. Today's topic is water pollution, and I am Mrs. Hall. I hope that you learned something new today. The objectives of the lesson today, grade sixes, is to understand how we damage our environment from water pollution. First of all, let's start off with the definition. What is water pollution? Water pollution is a contamination of water sources. It is also a change in the physical, chemical, and biological properties of water that will have a negative impact on all the living things in the water. This occurs when pollutants such as chemicals are released directly or even indirectly, without you even knowing it, into our water sources. What causes water pollution? First of all, sewage. We all know what it is. We've seen it in the manholes in our streets. It's not a pleasant sight. It is wastewater that is treated, cleaned, and often goes back into the seas or the rivers. And we're going to be looking at how the municipality actually cleans our sewage in one of the lessons coming this week. Chemical fertilizers. These are fertilizers used by farmers, and they contain very strong chemicals that can run off into the water. And in turn, it pollutes the water as well as the living organisms in the water. The third thing is industry. Industries produce huge amounts of waste which contain toxic chemicals and pollutants such as lead, mercury, sulfur, nitrates, and many other harmful chemicals. We'll go into that in a little bit more detail later on. Another very bad impact is marine dumping. It involves dumping of litter into the sea, and these items can take hundreds of years to decompose. Right, I don't think I need to explain that picture to you, grade sixes. I think the picture speaks 1,000 words. These are fossil fuels. For example, coal and oil, we burn them in South Africa to get our energy. And these, when burned, produce nitrogen oxides. Now, we've been looking at soluble and insoluble substances, so now we're going to take a look at water pollution by soluble substances. In other words, substances that have dissolved in the water that you cannot actually see with your eyes. These are substances such as soaps, fertilizers, insecticides, acids, and poisonous chemicals that dissolve in the water and pollute it. We cannot see these substances in the water, so we do not know that it is actually polluted. Fertilizers and soaps make the oxygen levels in the water lower, and this causes the organisms to die, because you all know we all need oxygen to breathe, to survive. So let's take a look. Look at this forest. Acid rain is caused by a chemical reaction that begins when compounds like sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides are released into the air. These substances can rise very high into the atmosphere where they mix and react with water, oxygen, and other chemicals to form more acidic pollutants known as acid rain. And what is acid rain? It is rainfall that is made so acidic by atmospheric pollution that it causes environmental harm, chiefly to forests and lakes, like the forest you can see in the background of this slide. The main cause is the industrial burning of coal and other fossil fuels. Let's take a look at the impact on our lakes. Right, as the acidity of a lake increases, the water becomes clearer and the numbers of fish and other water animals decline. Let's put my glasses on here. Freshwater, shrimps, snails, mussels are the most quickly affected by this acidification, followed by fish such as minnows, salmon and roach. Now the roe and the fry, that's called the eggs and the young, something new for you to learn, of the fish are the worst affected, as the acidity of the water can prevent the eggs from hatching properly. They can also cause deformity in young fish, which also struggle to take in oxygen. We also get a lot of pollution from our fertilizers that our farmers use. You can see in the background over here. Here's our farmlands and our crops and our animals. And the farmers, obviously, they have to fertilize their crops. And from storms and water and rainfall, that those fertilizers run off into little lakes or wetlands and then into our rivers and streams. The agricultural pollution has many different sources, grade 6s. Nitrogen-based fertilizers produce potent greenhouse gases and can overload waterways with dangerous pollutants, as you can see here. And now you can understand how it gets into our waterways when the farmers spray their crops. Pollution from soaps. So phosphates in our detergents that we use for our clothes, for washing our clothes or washing our bodies, it can lead to the formation of freshwater algae. And we have a lot of lakes and rivers in South Africa that has this problem. These are blooms that release toxins and they deplete the oxygen in the water. So they literally take the oxygen out of the water. When these algae decompose, they utilize the oxygen available for aquatic life. So our normal fish and all of our aquatic life that live in the rivers no longer have oxygen. Water ecosystems with reduced oxygen will support fewer individuals and a far less variety of organisms. Water pollution by living germs. You've all seen these signs up often if you go swimming somewhere. Warning, sewage. Okay, where does the sewage come from? Even today, sewage is still flushed directly into streams and rivers in many areas around the world and even into our oceans. Sewage can introduce harmful bacteria that can make people and animals very sick. Farm animal waste. So the animals need to also go to the toilet. They also need to poop, grade 6. This is waste from large herds of farm animals such as pigs and cows can get into the water supply from the runoff of the rain and the large storms. And remember, I spoke to you in one of our previous lessons about listeriosis and how it comes from the animals and the animal dung that's used to make fertilizers. Diseases caused by living germs in water. You all know diarrhea. I have spoken to you about it before. It's a sickness which gives you very loose and watery feces. Now the word feces, for those of you who don't know, is solid toilet waste. Okay, and I explained to you in one of my previous lessons about those really bad bacteria that cause diarrhea, whether you are using that as an excuse not to come to school or you really have diarrhea. It's very common in a lot of homes. But even more important is the disease from a living germ called cholera. It's a more serious type of diarrhea which people can die from. You cannot die from diarrhea, general diarrhea, but cholera you can die from. And it is found in water polluted with feces as well. So in rivers and streams where people are washing and cleaning themselves, if people have urinated or gone to the toilet close to the river or stream, that feces goes into the river, and then people swimming in the river can pick up cholera. Cholera affects 3 to 5 million people worldwide and causes over 100,000 deaths a year. That's a lot, grade 6s. And this is what a cholera germ looks like under a microscope. Water pollution now by insoluble substances. So we've been speaking about soluble substances, substances that you couldn't see with your eyes, but now insoluble substances are substances that you can see quite easily that are not able to dissolve readily within the water. So insoluble substances include oil, plastic tires, tins, and glass. They can also harm the people and animals that drink the water. Some of these items can take hundreds of years to decompose. The litter can become caught in the animals, also leading to death. So an insoluble substance like oil, okay, take a close look. I know it makes your heart sore and I know it makes you want to cry, but it's the reality of the world we live in, grade 6s. So oceans are polluted by oil on a daily basis from oil spills, routine shipping, runoffs, and dumping. Oil spills cause a very localized problem, but can be catastrophic to local marine wildlife, such as fish, birds, and sea otters. Oil cannot dissolve in water and forms a thick sludge in the water. And thank goodness we have people that come out and help animals in distress when there is an oil spill on our coastline. And generally these are volunteers out of the goodness of their heart who just care for wildlife. So the biggest problem with unwanted plastic is the pollution and damage it causes our environment that you can see here in the background. Plastic breaks into tiny pieces which then get blown around by the wind and the rain, and it all ends up in our rivers and our streams. Plastic is incredibly durable and it is not biodegradable. It does not decompose like vegetables, fruit, or meats. Now you might be wondering, what does the term biodegradable mean? That means it is not able to decompose like vegetables, fruit, or meat. So plastic is not biodegradable. It cannot decompose like vegetables and fruit. So it's not able to be broken up by the decomposers in the food chain, which makes it very hard to get rid of. Getting rid of unwanted plastic is a big challenge. If it is burned, harmful gases are released into the atmosphere, and this is called air pollution. And that's another form of air pollution which we have to contend with in our everyday life. It is usually buried in huge landfill sites. Now this is an example of a landfill site, and even though we don't see it, it is still there and it can last for many, many decades. Right. So basically when a landfill site it comes to an end, they cover it with soil and they might grow something on top of it, or they might even build something on top of it, but that plastic will always be there under the ground. It will always be releasing toxins into the soil, and even though they've covered it, you're still able to know that it's causing harm. Take a look at these pictures. Okay, so it starts off with you at school eating a packet of chips, whatever the case may be, and you don't put it in the bin or you don't recycle it. It gets blown by the wind into a stream, into a river, into our ocean, and where does it land up? Yep, right here in the mouth of our bird life. Okay, even our plastic at home that we don't dispose of properly or we don't recycle, where does it land up? In our oceans around our aquatic animals. And they don't know how to get rid of it. They don't know how to dispose of it or untangle themselves. So we need to be very aware of it, grade 6s, and take care that we are picking up papers and making sure we are recycling. So you all know plastic water bottles. You all use them. I use them all the time. I'm at fault as well. What's better, grade 6s, using a plastic water bottle or a glass of water? Okay, this is called single-use plastic. We use it once and we throw it away. So don't use single-use plastic. Rather, drink a glass of water or bring your water from home in one of your cool drink bottles that you all love to collect. Okay, there's so many different options. You don't have to buy plastic water bottles. They are one of the main causes of environmental pollution. Instead of using lots of water bottles and throwing them away, have a glass or a mug of water. Not only is it environmentally friendly, it is also so much cheaper. It's our responsibility, grade 6s. By making small changes, we can all make a difference. Let's all work together to make the earth a healthier and cleaner place for everybody and everything. Just imagine going to the beach and the water looking like this, or walking on the mountain and the waterfalls and everything around you look like this. Abundance of wildlife, abundance of aquatic animals and sea life. Just imagine how different our life would be. Okay. Clean up the earth. It's the only home we have. I hope I've got this message through to you, grade 6s. I hope you're going to be more responsible and take action and stand up to people who litter and don't throw their rubbish away. I hope I've also inspired you to do a little bit of recycling at home, or to do some research on recycling, and to get your parents involved with recycling at home as well. Thank you, grade 6s. It's been a great lesson. I've enjoyed teaching you. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a great afternoon. Be kind to yourselves, first of all, and also be kind to your family members. It's not easy being in lockdown, and sometimes a little cup of tea for your mom goes a long way. Go ahead. Go do it right now. I tell you, she'll love you and just want to hug you. Go give your mom that cup of tea, grade 6s.